All right, welcome back to another NovNov project. Like I mentioned, now we're going to get into some of the fun scanning stuff and working with vulnerable services. I'm going to mostly focus on using Docker to set them up really quickly today, but there are tons out there. There's VulnHub, there's Metasploitable. OWASP has this vulnerable web app directory that if you wanted to learn more about these, you can. I'm personally going to just dive right into BWAP, Buggy Web Application, BWAP, or BBox as it's talked about, and it is actually hosted through Docker as well by Brightsec. So this is going to be what we pull up in a bit, but we're going to hop over to our definitely not Kali Linux virtual machine in VirtualBox. And first we're just going to do a quick apt update, make sure we got everything we need, with the -y to say yes automatically, and oh no, permissions denied, right? Because I am Esbern. So you'll either need to sudo I to switch up to an interactive session, or you could apt update after your sudo and throw in your user's password to go ahead and pull that down. Now, you do not have to use the Esbern account after the apt update and then making sure that we have Docker up to date. I will be switching over to the root account anyway because I don't feel like typing sudo a bunch today. So now sudo apt install, and we're going to pull down Docker. All right, we already have Docker. We don't have Docker? Am I spelling Docker wrong? Isn't Docker already in Kali? Did I break it? That'd be wild. Let's go ahead and just Docker in Kali. Docker IO. I'm a silly goose. There we go. I always think of Docker so much, but it's just docker.io is the actual package name. Docker.io or docker.intentionally obtuse, if you want to think about it like that way. The .io, really popular. Almost not as much anymore. Now I'm seeing more .ai, which I bet you guys can guess what that is. Definitely not frustrating at all. So let's get back into it. Our Docker should be in 5, 4, 3. Now, I don't know how to do a countdown. So now if I man Docker, we've got the Docker image and container command line interface. Feel free to read through this at length if you want to, but the basics of Docker are going to want to be ran from your root side or with sudo. We've got a couple. So Docker pull is going to pull down the latest thing. Pull access denied for VBox. Oh. Docker login request denied. Okay. So let's go Brightsec bbox. There we go. So Docker pull is how you pull it down. If you're just going directly by name, it can work if it is on that name most commonly. But like in this case, since Brightsec is hosting it, we Docker pull, say who we're getting it from, say what we're getting, and then it will download it. So Docker pull is one of the first ones that you will work with or use to independently pull down the latest version of a Docker container or the images that you'll be working with. I had a tangent about that I was going to go off on, but seeing as how the download's still going, I guess I will do that. You do not always have to pull on its own. If you run or exec or do some of the other commands, it will pull it if you don't have it. I personally like to pull first just to make sure that we get it in there. So Now we're going in and we're starting to extract it out. This is going to take a second because I'm on a virtual machine inside of a terrible computer. While that's running, I'm just going to pop back here to the BWAP page, right, and talk about it for a little bit. It has got over 100 web vulnerabilities. PHP base uses a MySQL database, so there's a lot going on in here. If you wanted to learn more about it, they have links out to where they've talked about it. They've got bugs if you want some kind of guideline as to where to look. And if you link out to the ITsec blog, they've got a bunch more information on there. I'll include all of these links in the description for the video. But let's go ahead and see this going. That was the biggest one, so that should be the longest of it. I'm going to go ahead and open up another terminal really quick. Go back to the Docker pages. So there's a lot in here. This right here is kind of funny to me. This sums up everything you can do. But essentially, you're going to use Docker, and then however you want to use it or whatever you want to do. So like I did Docker pull brightsec / bbox. I could then throw arguments in after that, like if I wanted to get an interactive shell. Let's scroll down for a second. Oh, they actually don't have that much helpful in their man pages. That's crazy. Has over 30 commands. The commands are listed below, and each has its own man page. To see the man page for a command, run man space docker space dot. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's the, okay, so here we go. It's hyphen run is if we want to look at the run. Docker run, create and run a new container from an image. So this is what we are going to use once we have bbox going to actually set it up and go. So our syntax will be docker space run space the thing we want to do. And as you can see, there are a ton of things going on in here. Right, so let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit. Just as an example of all the different things. That you can do just with running. So I'm going to quit that. I'm going to close that. And now we have our bbox downloaded. So now first we're going to interact with it. So I'll do docker run bbox it, that's backwards, docker run it bbox sh. And so what this is saying is, hey Docker, can you run with an interactive terminal bbox and give me a shell? Did I just do the same exact thing that I did earlier? I did, didn't I? I'm a very smart cookie sometimes. Alright, so starting web server, let's go ahead and do who am I? I guess I should have given it time to start up. Sometimes I forget how long this stuff takes. I'm not impatient. I've just had 2 cups of coffee already. While that's going, we're going to go over here and do docker ps, permission denied, right? That's why this is important. Docker ps is another one. It is what checks what is currently running and how you can interact with it. So in this case, I've got my image of brightsec / bbox on the container ID of random number, right? And it's currently running through all of its commands But docker space ps is how you can get the container ID, and then if you wanted to remove that container, you could docker rm that container ID. I don't want to remove it yet because it's what we're actively using. Come on, Docker. Let's see if I can get around that. Sudo docker exec brightsec bbox, and then let's give it a command like IPA. No such container. Did I call it the wrong thing? No, it's still just coming up. I'm impatient sometimes if you guys haven't learned that. No response. Okay, let's go ahead and go sudo docker exec docker ps tail number 1. Permission denied. The stuff I do to fill time is just mostly messing around inside of a terminal, trying to figure out how to do things a little bit different. So we've got our tail, and then we can awk print column 1. That gives us just this guy here. And so now what if I wrap that in a thingy, like we did command substitution the other day. And I'm just going to give it the, who am I? Root. Does that mean we're actually done over here? No, I probably broke this by playing with it too much. So what we're going to do is Control-C, clear, exit, exit, and I'm just going to work from over here. So we have our little command sub there. I'm going to make this simpler just by doing a single. I don't need to sudo because I am root. Nope, did I hit insert? I'd hate it if I hit insert. Turns out if you close the thing, it does break it. So let's go ahead and just be patient for once in your life, Jeff. But instead of doing interactive, I am just going to start it up. Let's go ahead and give that a couple of seconds. I am a sucker for Kickstarter. I should never look over there. No such file. Ooh, that's probably not great. Maybe I broke something. Wouldn't be the first time. Checking for corrupt, not cleanly closed, upgrading tables needed. I did break it. So let's go ahead and Control-C, clear, docker ps. I've got nothing running, so now we're going to docker pull that brightsec bbox again. Still up to date. Okay, so I don't have any containers open right now. What was the other one? BusyBox? That's a pretty common one that people use as a learners. So instead of going right into bbox, we'll go ahead and docker run BusyBox. Docker PS. I need more coffee. Okay, so now I have my Docker container up and running. Who am I? I've got my IP address. So now we're open. I'm going to pull up a new terminal. Oh, that wasn't the right thing. I hate Windows sometimes. Jeez. All right. So I have a Docker container over here. Switch up to root. SU, super user, switch up, switch user. There's so many names for that. First, I'm going to try and make sure I can ping. I can ping my Docker container, nmap it. I can nmap it, but it doesn't have anything open because it's just BusyBox. Let's see what's existing on there. ls, not a whole lot. So let's cd tilde ls a, and let's go ahead and oh, what is it in? Anyway. Got a bunch of commands we could run in here. Wham it. So we got that IP address, which again I pulled from inside of the Docker container. I could poke at it like this, but there's not a whole lot open, right? So let's go ahead and exit out. Make sure I don't have anything running. And let's get that bright sec up and running again. So the whole goal of just using Docker and getting familiar with it is our ability to create tiny little containers, which they're not like virtual machines. They're a little bit different. When we're dealing with virtual machines, we have a guest operating system on top of our actual operating system, or another way to say that would be alongside our actual operating system, right? I can go back here, I can be on Windows, I can stay in here, I can be on Kali. Docker containerizes just the necessary stuff. So like when I run it for the BrightSec bbox, it is starting up the necessary services, but not anything else, right? It's just going to have the things we need. I think Docker also has a hello world, because who doesn't? Docker run help. Response from Damon. I think this may require Docker login. What is the Docker to check which ones you have? Host list. There's one of these that just shows who you got. Port mappings, that could be good for later. Stats is your, create a tag. Man, I can't remember. I think it's part of the logs. Let's go ahead and take a look at that really quick. If it's just image ls, I am gonna cry a little bit. Probably could have guessed that. Yeah, so I've got BusyBox and BrightSec. So let's go back here. Let's go to the Explore. The hub is where all of these exist. There's so many in here. We're gonna go into security, Linux. and then filter by pull count. So many, right? Let me just find one that I don't hate. Plex. I don't hate Plex, and when you containerize it, it is a little bit easier to work with. So while we're waiting on Bbox, I'll go ahead and pull, what was it? Linux server Plex. If you're not familiar with Plex, I don't know what to tell you. It's a thing. Pulling Docker images is this easy. I did break this one, so I'm going to go ahead and kill that for now. And this time we're going to Docker run it Linux server Plex sh. Actually, I don't want it forever. Just go ahead and do that. Server is unclaimed, but no token has been sent. Right. Why do I always put a space in there? It's almost like I'm only good at... I broke it. I'm really good at breaking things. Let's try that again. Okay, and now I can, who am I over here? I'm root, I can IPA over here. IP not found, so we gotta set something. ifconfig. Ow. Man, I am too impatient for this. We can do a lot in here, but Docker is mainly what I wanted to start talking about today, so we can get going with some other stuff in a later video. Always make sure you don't have anything running. So if you guys take a look, I now have this Linux Plex server that I did start up, even though I decided to just kill it. Last thing I'll show you guys is Docker RM. Same thing we did earlier. Now I can go ahead and Docker ps tail1 awk print 1 . Oh, because it's got a longer line. Stop the container first before removing or force remove. So let's go ahead and Docker stop. Kill it with fire.